Ballina is Misha Onion Corrig of Ballina, the Corla Cunda Mayo. Agus is honor more than Fudge of Gockinia Conan Okoj Basil Shot Anew. Agus Major Queen of Lila Shade, Yuri Ballina. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anne McCarthy. I'm the Arts Officer with Mayo County Council, and I'd like to welcome everybody here today. Our Coheirlock, Councillor Michael Holmes, our CE Peter Himes, our Director of Service Joanne Graham, and everybody from the Arts Office and our friends. You're very welcome. I'm welcoming you on behalf of Mayo County Council to this very special occasion and to celebrate this beautiful artwork that Katie Moore has produced as artist in residence for 1916 in the Jackie Clarke Collection. This project was very complex and it involved a lot of partner organisations, communities, experts and individuals. When I first suggested an artist in residence at the Jackie Clarke Library, I had no idea what the outcome would be, and we're really delighted with the way it developed. Our distinguished speakers will thank other people, but before they do, I just want to personally thank Katie Moore. She has shown extraordinary resilience, calm and determination in completing her very ambitious work, often under great personal stress. She has engaged fully with the staff of the Jackie Clarke Library and Mayo County Council and a huge number of groups and individuals. And she has been a great ambassador for the arts and artists. So thank you very much, Katie. And I also want to say a huge thank you to Gaynor Seville, Public Art Coordinator with Mayo County Council, who put in an enormous amount of time and effort and energy into this project. As it was very complex, we needed somebody with a lot of experience to manage it, and she did a brilliant job as always. Katie was very lucky to have someone of Gaynor's great knowledge and experience supporting her to her first major commission, so thank you, Gaynor. And also, while you're all here, I just want to thank the team at the Arts Office, Anne-Marie McGee, Orla Heverin, Damien O'Connor and Mick Smith. They all do brilliant work and they don't often get thanks, so thank you. Our first speaker today is Sinead McCool of the Jackie Clarke Collection, and she will talk to us about the historic background to this project. So thank you. Sinead.
Greetings everybody, good morning, Anne, agus Tommy, Thoughter and Liam Shaw, Anu. I suppose I'm coming here to talk about the Jackie Clarke Collection, and I suppose I'll concentrate really on how we set up the initial visit to the Jackie Clarke. It was before the Rising exhibition, so you'll have a chance to go and see that in its entirety in the Jackie Clarke Collection at the moment, and I know many of you will have already seen that. I suppose that in many ways I'm coming here to speak today, but the team at the Jackie Clarke have continued on to showcase that. Edel Golden, who's currently in my role while I'm on secondment, and also to Amory Forbes, and it's so fantastic that the community involvement in relation to this project has actually reflected so much of what else has happened in the Jackie Clarke. I suppose what I think the important thing to note here today, and I actually had written a speech which was very much about the history not only of the Jackie Clarke but also of the Easter Lily. And in many ways I came in here earlier on and I spoke to Katie and I spoke to Gaynor, and I changed a little bit of what I was planning to say in the context of that. Firstly, when Gaynor mentioned that the idea of the artwork here being on display for 2 months, that people would have to come here to Ballina to see it, and then of course that it will be dismantled. And if it ever is recreated again, and obviously I would say that it could be recreated anywhere. I've looked at this type of work being inspired by the Jackie Clarke Collection, and I see it in an international context, as I've always seen the collection of Jackie Clarke. This would sit beautifully in New York or in Tokyo or in Australia, and I mean that, Katie. It's absolutely of international standard. But I think it's very... I'm trying desperately to keep my hat on today of what I'm doing here today and rather not deviate into other roles that I've had. So basically the whole idea is it's because when I come to look at Katie's artwork, I am completely invested in the calla lily, the women of Commemoration, the creation of this in 10 years after the Rising, to come up with a symbol that the Easter lily represented the people that were killed in action, the lily that was taken and used throughout the times, whether it was by Sinn Féin, the old IRA, the provisional IRA. I know the difference between the stickies and the pinheads. Some of you will know that reference, some of you will not. And what I would say to you is that speaking to Katie earlier today, she came and said that she came at this with a purity that she had come to from the outset. She had looked at Jackie Clarke's collection, she had looked at the newspapers, she had looked at the prints of the men, she had looked at the material from Joe Clarke, she had looked at all of that material, and she honed in immediately on the last table, which had Jackie Clarke's wallet. We know it's from 1950 because there's an insert in it, and he had some of the paper lilies, and we also had his list of where he had purchased those from Joe Clarke in the book bureau. Now again, those of you who are familiar, know Jackie Clarke's collection and know the background to it, you will know what the name that Joe Clarke means. You'll know that he was a veteran of 1916, but you'll know that he was a lifelong Republican. You'll know also that the nature of the collecting of lilies at that particular time has particular significance. I have 5 minutes, but at the same time what I wanted to say today was, for those of you who know, you know. For those of you who come to know, well then you will be reading history books and it's going to come into history. The Jackie Clarke now is actually poised with a very important collection that goes right up to the year 2000, and it challenges us to actually look at this story. But when Katie came, and there's a book when I was growing up and it was called What Katie Did, and what I wanted to do in the essay was use that term, what Katie did. Because Katie in this story, Katie you'll be far too young to know, was this idea that her world was her world and then everything happened around Katie. And when I saw Katie's world, she was able to watch the world spinning around, stay to her purity of vision, stay to her wonderful craft. And when I looked at it and asked her how long it took, she couldn't quantify that. And I know that she looked at the vastness of the Jackie Clarke collection. And when we eventually estimated, it was 100,000 things. So I could relate to her making the lilies as I put those boxes together and wrote up those labels and everything. So I'd like to celebrate her for that, but also to say to you that if you come and wear this lily today in this Jackie Clarke inspired collection, it is of this moment. We've finished the 1916 celebration. We're in the second part of it. The 100 years have come and gone, and now we're in a new era. And for the young people here, wear the lily. It won't carry the same legacy that it has carried for older people. Thank you.
Thank you, Sinead, and I'd also like to say Sinead was really supportive and positive towards having an artist causing ructions in the Jackie Clarke collection over the last year. And now I'd like to call on Katie Moore, who'd like to say a few words.
So I'd just like to say thank you all so much for coming here today. I really appreciate it. I feel like I was hidden behind the installation there, getting photos. So when I came around, it was a nice surprise to see everyone here. I'd like to just start off by saying a few thank yous. I'd like to thank Mayo County Council, Mayo Library Services, the Jackie Clarke Collection and the Ballina Art Centre. Firstly to Anne and Gaynor and everyone else at the Mayo County Council Arts Office who've been so kind and generous with their time and knowledge, and they've been so supportive to me. I'd like to thank Austin and also thank Sean, Jamie and all the staff at the Ballina Art Centre, and I'd like to thank Mick Smith and everyone at the Art Squad. I'm so grateful for their help. To Edel, Anne-Marie, Sinead and all the staff at the Jackie Clarke Collection. I've been really lucky to work closely with all the staff there. Edel and Anne-Marie especially have been so accommodating and really made me feel at home there, so thank you. And it has just been such a pleasure working at the Jackie Clarke Collection, and I've just enjoyed my time there. They'll probably find it hard to get rid of me. And then a special thank you to Phelim for all his help with my installation. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Joe here at the Ballina Civic Offices, and of course to all the speakers here today, and to Tommy Doherty. And thank you to Vincent for being here and doing the official opening, and thank you to Sally. And of course thank you to the Foxford group of Lily helpers, and to the community groups who took part in the workshops. I really enjoyed working with the community groups. From what I have been told about Jackie, he really loved his town, so it was really important to me to get the town involved. And the community work is installed in the showroom at the Jackie Clarke Collection. The lilies there are made from paper, so one of the things I was told that Jackie's collection is mostly paper-based. So the paper lilies in the showroom are suspended from the ceiling, and they're hanging around an empty chair. And the empty chair makes me think about Jackie, and then he's surrounded by his community. So I was very inspired by the Easter lily piece badges that I saw during the site visit at the Jackie Clarke Collection. The badges were placed in a wallet that belonged to Jackie Clarke, and I was really drawn to the wallet. I was thinking it was something that Jackie would have carried around with him. So using the peace lily and this feeling of being overwhelmed, I decided to create an installation. And the installation structure is based on the measurements of Port Pierce's jail cell at Coolmainham Jail in Dublin. Then the structure is covered in 5,500 peace lilies, which are handmade from fabric. And then the lilies are white, as I wanted it to be peaceful, because it's war that we're thinking about. Then the amount of peace lilies is overwhelming, suggesting how one might feel when in war, so an uncomfortable feeling. But at the same time, the overwhelming feeling could signify the vast amount in the Jackie Clarke Collection, having been described as an overflowing treasure chest. But really it was important to me to make a piece of art that is an acknowledgement to the great collector Jackie Clarke, and then an active memory for the 1916 Easter Rising. So thank you.
Very well said. And our next speaker, we're very honoured to have the Chief Executive of Mayo County Council here today, Peter Hines, who will address us now. Peter.
Thanks, Anne. Well, dus fear fáilte go raibh go héine. You're all very welcome. Here look, Bordeaux is going to use their fad. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I'm going to get my notes for the speech in proper order, which are here somewhere. We'll be able to get started. Okay, because this is an important speech. You know, this is almost a home game, come here look. You know how demanding home audiences can be. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's a very special occasion. Katie, thank you for the invitation to be part of the launch party for the launch of Paper Bloom. It's a great pleasure for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's about place and about people, and as you all know, place is hugely important to all of us on this island. We've had a long history of disputing just who is from what place and whose place is whose, so place is hugely important. And Katie is not just a Mayo artist, Katie is Foxford artist. So it is fantastic to see a great turnout from Foxford. Now, Foxford is a very particular place. We were reading the review, Catherine was reading a review of someone who visited the mills and the town last night and described it as a village. Foxford is most definitely a town, and a very special town. And it's great to see all of the neighbours and supporters here in such numbers, and you're all extremely welcome. Jerry and Catherine have been neighbours and friends since childhood, and we've seen Katie develop and grow over the years as an artist, her time in college, her time in millinery, and on to this residence here today. So We remember a couple of people who can't be here. We remember Andrew, who's away, and we remember with great affection her dad, William. So it's a very special occasion for some very, very special people. It's a great privilege to be any part of it. Second reason is because of the work itself. I think it's just stunning. I'm not an art critic, but I think it's just stunning. Lilies have a particular place in our culture, as Sinead mentioned and talked about, in our cultural memory, particularly over the past century. Complex associations with them. And bloom is a word that has particular resonance ever since James Joyce reinvented it and imbued it with a whole level of layers of meaning that we can only start to kind of understand. And then you look at the jail cell of Porrick Pierce, and you think about what that means in the week that we're in, and the year that we're in, and the city that we're in. You put them all together, it's a hugely potent combination. So I think it's stunning artwork. As CE of the local authority, I don't want to say too much about it because I know that our follow-on speaker, Vincent Wood, will do a much more eloquent appraisal than I ever could. But I have been delegated by our arts officer to say a few thank yous, and while they have been mentioned before, it is my privilege as CE of the local authority to just confirm the debt of gratitude that we owe to all of these people, the importance that we attach to all of the work that they do. General Seville, our Public Arts Coordinator, been pivotal to the success. Thank you, Gaynor. And in the Jackie Clarke Collection, Sinead, thank you. Anne-Marie Forbes, Idella Golden, and all of the team that assisted Katie, thank you for all of your support. To Austin Vaughan, our county librarian, and I've said before, we are blessed with a number of very, very, very highly committed and talented people who work for Mayo County Council. Austin and the Library Service are one of them, and Anne McCarthy and the whole Art Service are others, so thank you both. Sean Welsh, Jamie Doherty and all the staff at the Ballina Art Centre, and here in the Ballina Municipal District to Joe Loftus and Paul Benson, who had a big hand in putting it all together, to Joe Cafferty for all his help, and to Mick Smith and the Mayo Arts Squad, whose work all over the county just adds to the joy of being in Mayo. And as anyone who's travelled the road to Dublin in the recent past will know, they've spread their influence into Roscommon. We have talked for a little time about maybe annexing Balladreen, and you'll see on the Balladreen bypass that Mick has already started to put some outposts. Mick and the squad, thank you very much. So an enormous number of hands in 5,500 lilies. Fantastic, successful artwork. Congratulations, Katie. Tassurun Kumanagiship, Sult Aslan, Respontus, agus Kermangri Aslan, Vetling, agus As, Eshtat, Kumanagiship.
Thank you, Peter. We're really fortunate to have Vincent Woods with us today. He's a writer and broadcaster. I thought that Vincent's time here in Mayo dated back to John Call's time, our deceased colleague, but it turns out, at dinner last night, we discovered that he actually worked for the Western Journal. It was one of his first jobs here in Ballina, so he knows the town a lot better than we thought. We're really honoured that he agreed to be here and to spend time with us, so I'd like to introduce Vincent Woods, our guest today.
Thanks very much, Anne, and it is indeed a pleasure to be back in Ballina. I have very, very happy memories of months spent here back in 1980, a lifetime ago, but carved a very special place in my heart, Ballina. And that seemed to continue last night and this morning, because I've had a deeply moving and illuminating night and morning of talk and looking and learning here. Last night with Katie Moore, this brilliant young artist who told me a little bit about our work and our vision for what we see here today, with Anne-Marie Forbes and Adele Golden from the extraordinary Jackie Clarke Collection, who shared stories about the past of the Provincial Bank building on Pearse Street, the love between Jackie and Anne Clarke, the years of amassing the wealth of material that building now holds for all of us, with Anne McCarthy and Sean Walsh, who fly high and proud the flag of the arts in Mayo, with Austin Vaughan, the county librarian, who early on recognised a huge resource and potential contained in Jackie Clarke's books, letters, documents, artwork, paper, all the passionate material of a passionate, generous and visionary man. Then I visited the collection this morning and have seldom been so astonished, delighted and again moved by a single exhibition, centre and experience, because it is so much more than an exhibition. It's a lifetime story spanning centuries, a window into our past and into our future, a treasure house of history and humanity. The idea then of an artist's residency at the Jackie Clarke Collection is inspired, and for me it's a perfect example of Mayo County Council's support of the arts and the far-seeing and imaginative ethos within the Council's Arts Office. With this project, art meets history. Imagination looks into and beyond the surface of things. What then would emerge from the mix of artist and archive? Well, what emerges is a small miracle, and we see it here today. The potent symbol of the Easter lily, taken and transformed by Jackie Moore, honoured and altered. The memory of 1916 and those who dreamed and fought and died and lived blooms into life around the flame and frame of a prison cell memory. And the work reminds me of the work of brilliant English artist Cornelia Parker, one of the leading installation artists in the world. And the serenity, the strength, the simplicity, the power of this work is really, really quite remarkable. The Easter lily, some of which, as we know, Jackie Clarke carried in his wallet, and again, as Sinead said, originally intended to honour the memory of the dead of those years of armed uprising in this country, a century and less ago, and a way of raising funds for Republican prisoners' families. I suppose it's the Irish equivalent of the poppy in Britain, and over the decades that rather elegant and beautiful object with its dark green edge, the orange flame centre, the white core, became divisive as Republicans split and fought. And again, some of us know the stick-on lily worn by the official IRA, the late 60s and 70s into the 80s, the pinned lily worn by supporters of the provisional IRA and more traditional Republicans, and indeed, let's be said, I wore it myself in my day. I dare to hope that a few brave people may have worn, at different times of year obviously, both the Easter lily and the poppy, in remembrance of loved ones who died for king or country or Irish freedom or the beautiful impossible dream of freedom for which so many fought and lost their lives. And it's interesting, the lily is there in unionist tradition too, and there's a marvellous song by John Fraser, a song by Sean Terrell called The 12th of July, a little of which goes, "Come pledge again your heart in your hand, one glass that never shall sever. Our path will be our native land, our motto, love forever." And here in this particular artwork is, I believe, the honouring of the spirit of love, of peace worked out of conflict, of harmony and serenity remade. It's not simplistic, it's not reductive. The reimagining of the lily away from the tricolour aesthetic, and that aesthetic is powerful and potent, is a necessary and courageous act of imagining and making. For me, it again echoes something of the symbolic power of the famous ceramic poppies installation at the Tower of London 2 years ago. Visual art and colour, conveying the loss and pain and remembrance in a way that is unique and vital. Looking at this work today, I think of Lily Connolly, James Connolly's wife, and a poem by the late Pierce Hutchinson, a marvellous Irish poet who was a strong advocate of the politics of remembrance and aspiration associated with, and the simple beauty of Easter Lily. A late poem by Pearse, published in his posthumous collection Listening to Bach, recalls or maybe reimagines again Lily Connolly visiting James in jail shortly before his execution, and in a moment of deeply human, heroic truth and honesty, exclaiming, "But your beautiful life, James, your beautiful life." All the desolation and grief of loss contained in that phrase. It's interesting to think that William Blake saw the lily as symbol of love which is without any self-reference, neither defending itself nor causing any pain or destruction. And that, again, I believe, is at the heart of the artistic vision here today. This work and Katie Moore's work over the past many months is as significant as any commemorative event or gathering or art making in Dublin or at the supposed centre of things, in O'Connell Street or the GPO, as significant as any parades and reviews by official Ireland. It's about the power and work of community. It's about the reimagining of things. It's about honouring the past and the legacy of Jackie and Anne Clarke, who themselves honour generations of people who struggled to believe in a possible freedom and to make a free country. Once again, all credit to Mayo County Council and everyone associated with this work, to Sinead McCool and Gaynor Seville and the Clarke family, to all who believed in Katie Moore's vision. As we shape the future, as we shape the present indeed, the generous and sometimes oblique perspective of the artist helps us interpret the past and read it deeper than the surface of things. Katie Moore is an immensely gifted artist with a great future. And for sure, this work is, as Sinead and Peter have said, of international significance. I'm honoured to be here today in Ballina to stand close to where the French marched in 1798, to remember the women and men who 100 years ago dreamed a different Ireland, all those who dream still and work hard and hopeful, to lift us up to where we can see the lilies blooming and the light coming through this luminosity that we see here. The garden with its trees and willow shapes, the future seeded in the ploughed ground of the past and of art. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Vincent. I think you got a beautiful voice as well. And also we're very honoured to have our Cathaoirleach of Mayo County Council, Councillor Michael Holmes here, who will officially launch the artwork now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne, for that. When Anne and Austin asked me if I could attend this launch, a few days ago, I didn't hesitate, even though, as you can imagine, I had a little bit of juggling to do with the diary, because the year that's in it, you could be somewhere, well, literally every hour of the day. But because, they explained to me what was going on, and because of Mayo County Council's involvement in the art, and the Chief Executive, Peter Hines, is always very, very committed to it, I had absolutely no problem in coming here today to do this, And this project is an excellent example of that, and as I think, as Vincent Woods has said, it's just as important as anything that has happened in the county, or indeed anything that has happened outside the county. It's very important, and it's important that we acknowledge that. Katie Moore has been working on this project for over 6 months, creating her own artwork. In addition, she carried out workshops with a variety of communities and groups in the area, so that they could engage and make their own artwork. The result of this community engagement can be seen in the Jackie Clarke Collection in Samara. Groups that Kate has worked with include Skilporic in Ballina, the Youth Outreach in Ballina, Mayo Art Squad, the Men's Sheds in Ballina, St Mary's Secondary School Ballina, that's the transition year students, Ballina Chambers of Commerce, Ballina Tourist Office, and the Grow It Yourself group. Now, we would like to thank Ronan Quigley, Mary Tracy, Bernie Cawley, and Mary Doherty to thank them for their participation. And of course a huge congratulations to Kate Moore on this extraordinary exhibition. And you know something, I was just looking at the work down there, and it is absolutely fantastic. 5,500 pieces, marvellous. I wish, Katie, you could turn them into votes. I see Michelle will have them down there, and indeed both of us could do with a few of them. Look, it's my privilege and honour to officially launch this exhibition here today, and it's absolutely fantastic and it's great, and I now declare it officially opened or launched. And thank you.
We're nearly there. I'm going to be killed, Anne-Marie will kill me if I don't tell you that as part of our Ballina programme this year, Katie will be giving a guided tour of the Jackie Clarke Collection to see some of the artefacts that inspired her work. This will be on Tuesday the 24th of May at 2 p.m, and there'll be a tour of the work here as well. And finally, and very importantly, I would like to introduce Tommy Doherty, all the way from Foxford, who is going to sing us The Soldiers of Commemoration, because he feels that there aren't enough songs about women, and he's going to do us an honour here today. So welcome, Tommy.
I'd like to thank Katie for thinking I was good enough. I don't know how to go on. I'd say there's a lot of great songs about great men, you know, and very few of which we had, you know, very few songs about great women of which we had, and still have, when you look around. All honour to Owen Heron, all praise to our men of our race, who in days of betrayal and slavery brought Ireland from ruin and disgrace. But do not forget in your praising of them and the deeds they have done. Their loyal and true-hearted comrades, the soldiers of Commemoration. They stood for the honour of Ireland as the sisters in days that are gone, and they marched with their brothers to freedom, the soldiers of Commemoration. O great-hearted daughter of Ireland, who died for her sake long ago, and who stood in the gap of our danger, defying the assassin of foe, was ever more gallant or worthy of glory and high-sounding rant than the comrades of Ballina Heron, the soldiers of Commemoration. They stood for the honour of Ireland as the sisters in days that are gone, and they marched with their brothers to freedom, the soldiers of Commemoration. Oh, I beats the heart of our mother, the day she has longed for is nigh, when the sunshine and joy of our freedom shall glow in the eastern sky, and none shall be honoured more proudly that morning by chieftain and clan than the soldiers who served in our danger, the soldiers of Commemoration. They stood for the honour of Ireland as the sisters in days that are gone, and they marched with their brothers to freedom, the soldiers of Commemoration.
that should be released as a hit. That brings to a conclusion our formalities for today. Please help yourself to food and drink, and thank you so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.